Welcome to the 505 on Racing Show.
Hello, everybody.
This week's edition, we're going to be talking about Talladega. We got the ACT, the American Canadian Touring Series. We're going to talk about, we got Local Kid Does Good.
Yeah.
What do you got, Joe?
Some Formula One stuff, and talk about some sad news, unfortunately, but it seems like we're always having sad news lately. The Gen 7 car we're going to talk about, and some of the, not problems, but some of the concerns people have with that. The rain at the Spring Sizzler at Safford Springs Motor Speedway, it seems to be in more years than I can count, and getting rained out and showing up another time.
There you go, the fastest hour on internet TV.
There you go.
We'll be back right after this.
Ba, ba, ba.
Ba, ba, ba.
Inravio.com.
So hello again, everybody. It's Joe Larson and Chuck Schultz.
How you doing?
5 on Racing Show. Another wild weekend in racing.
It's been a busy week.
But we also got...
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah, we do. We had a fatality on Long Island at the Riverhead Raceway. According to Will Hiscock, sadly, Silas Hiscock Sr. has passed away from injuries sustained at the Riverhead Raceway this past Saturday afternoon. Silas was part of the old guard practicing his INEX Legends car. All of us at Ultimate Media, Inravio.com, and the 505 on Racing Show sends our thoughts and prayers to the Hiscock family. Silas was like we said, the old school. He was a veteran INEX Legend driver. He died from his injuries following that crash at the Riverhead Raceway this past Saturday. He was from Bridgehampton, Long Island, and he crashed into the wall during a practice run. He was extricated from the race car, transported to the Peconic Bay Medical Center just less than a half mile from the racetrack, and then moved to the Stony Brook University trauma unit. Hiscock was almost 80 years old. He started racing in the 50s and then stepped away after a while until the INEX Legends cars came to Riverhead Raceway. The racing family, not only here in Long Island, but throughout the Northeast and Pennsylvania, are at a loss for this. It's very sad. And I saw on the social media somebody had mentioned that this is what we do. And we know that on any given day when we strap in, anything can happen.
Yeah, it's a kind of a sport that you're not going to get hit in the head with a baseball or basketball. It's a sport where things can happen.
Yeah.
And I believe they were racing. They were celebrating 100 years this year, weren't they?
The family, they were
the
celebrating
family
100
themselves.
years.
I mean, so it's a racing family. This is a true racing family. It's quite the shame.
There was a picture that I saw with him, and I believe his grandson, who also drives in the INEX division in the Legends. And that picture, I didn't use it today, but that picture, to me, symbolized what racing was all about. You see a lot of father-son, you see a lot of brother-brother, even some brother-sister, cousins, uncles, nephews as a family racing together. But this was like, like a fourth generation.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I mean, it's, that must have been, if for nothing else, must have been the biggest blast for him.
Yes.
Racing with his grandson.
Yeah.
It must have been, I can't even imagine, that must have been really, really awesome. And you know what, if that's, the chance he took, I guess, but at the same token, how much, I can't even imagine the experience and the pleasure he must have had.
No, and when you look at these things, and you look at, I mean, we've all experienced death on the racetrack. We've all experienced death in our personal lives. And in our personal lives, more times than not, it was their time.
You
They
see
were
it coming
sick,
a little bit,
you know.
you know.
But when a fellow racer dies
When
at a
it's sudden.
racetrack, doing what he loves, with support from family and friends, and like we said earlier, this family's been racing for 100 years. Back to the first roadsters and sports cars at the turn of, the 20s, the teens.
Yeah.
It's very sad, and it just doesn't hurt, like I said, the family and the racing community, but how about the driver that got involved with that even?
That's one of the worst parts of that, is that, that's something you always have in the back of your head when
Yeah.
you're involved in it.
What could I have done something different?
Right. What did I do wrong? Is there something that I could have done different? What would have been the out,
And when you think about it,
Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
yeah, there's nothing you could have done.
There's nothing you could have done.
You can't roll back the clocks. You can't say, maybe I won't go that day, or maybe I'll give him more room. It's practice, or maybe he should have gave me more room. Who knows what? You don't know what went through the minds of any of the drivers that when there's an incident on a racetrack. It's unfortunate when these things happen, and even the officials that are involved, and racetrack owners. And I know Don Honig up at the Thompson Motorsports Park, when he was at command there, many a driver lost their life at Thompson in his reign of 50 years of owning that place. And it doesn't hurt any less. As
No,
an
it
owner.
never does.
And I cannot imagine what's going through Eddie and Connie Partridge and Tom Katz's head right now. They're fairly new track operators, and they've never experienced this.
Yeah, this is the
on
first
that
time
end,
for them. Yeah, and it's not only the track owners, but it's the officials, it's the competitors, it's the spectators. It's everybody feels for this. I mean, it's, unfortunately, I remember when I was younger and we had a loss in the family, and my father said to me, he said, I was very young, he says, if you're on the page for that day when God turns that page, it doesn't matter what you're doing.
Doesn't.
You could be sitting on the side of a wishing well tossing pennies in.
Yep.
If it's your time to go, it's your time to go.
It's when you say that, I remember like my mom, I was at the helm in the Modified Toys race director when we lost Tommy Baldwin. And, Tiger Tom, and I was going to walk away from racing. I really was, because that one bothered me. It bothered me a lot because there was a lot going on. It rained all day, the track was dry, the infield wasn't. And my mom came to my house and she said, she goes, Joe, what are you going to do? She saw it in the paper and she was like, do you know this guy? And I started to cry. So I'll be right there. So she come and I said, maybe you were right, I'm getting out of this. And she says, Joseph, the man would have died whether he was on the Long Island Expressway, home in bed, at his job, out to dinner. The book was opened. It was his day and time.
Exactly.
And didn't make it any easier.
Nope, but it makes sense.
It does.
It makes sense. My father used to say, I could walk out the door and get hit by a bus tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why my car number is 52, because he died at 52.
Died at 52. Yeah.
Which is very young. It would have been nice to get another 20, 30 years out of him. And he was almost 80, right?
Yeah. And raced two different eras. The 50s and the 60s, and then I guess the last 20 years back when they came out with the legend cars. And it's sad. It's just a sad thing.
It is sad.
It seems like we talk about this way too often. But
So a lot of people getting older, and
yeah,
of course, racing is not it's not like we're smacking a badminton thing around.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a dangerous sport.
it is a very dangerous sport, and many safety precautions are put in place to make it safer. We don't know for a fact whether or not all the safety objects available were in use. We don't know that for a fact.
We
You
don't
hear
know if that would have
rumors.
helped.
Right. You hear stories, who says this, who says that. I don't go by stories. The only person that knows what he had or didn't have was him. And it's unfortunate. So again, our prayers go out to the Hiscock family. I knew him not well enough to break bread in each other's homes, but he's a racer. I was a head official.
You kind of know everybody.
You know their face, you know their name, you know the families.
You're a race car driver, everybody knows everybody.
Everybody knows it.
You
so-
know the name, you know the car, you know the people.
And again, to Eddie and Connie Partridge and and Tom Gatz, the owners of Riverhead Raceway, all we can do is pray to give them strength as well, because this is like they lost one of their children.
This is hard times.
Hard times. So,
Before the year even started,
yeah, it was practice.
it was practice.
It was practice. And the late John Zell told me, I used to say, Johnny, why do you go so hard in practice? He said, because if something's going to break or fall off, that's when I want it to happen. And I can fix it, tighten it up, whatever.
Right.
And you treat practice like it's a race. You don't just toot around. You want to make sure your setup's right.
Make sure you bolted the mufflers on and they don't come flying off.
Flying off, yeah. All of that stuff. It's, again, keep their family in your prayers. It's not an easy thing. It's
Take a quick break.
Yeah, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we got to talk about Talladega when we come
The
back.
big T.
Hey,
we're
what's
set it up.
I said was gonna say what's up for some reason. Hey, we're set it up, and you're watching the Inravio TV network.
Village Music Shop of Mastic. 1-800-HEY-DUDE. Your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop. 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com.
Hi there, this is Buddy from Less Than Jake, and you are listening to Inravio TV. You're probably watching it too.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, Inravio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is Inravio.com.
Hey, welcome back. Welcome back. Talladega,
The big track.
big track, the biggest track on the.
It's interesting how they made every little aspect of it just a little bit bigger, just so they could make it bigger than Daytona, right?
Yeah.
I mean, not like they, all right, just make it a mile bigger. Nah, just give me like, 0.2.
Yeah.
Just give me a little bit.
And the
The
banking
banking's a little bit more.
was a little bit more, and the reasons that were given was The sand at Daytona couldn't handle the weight, but the dirt and the rock in Alabama could. That's why they want just a little bit taller. Oh, yes.
Sweet home Alabama. What are you going to do?
What are you going to do? It happens. Yeah, so there was a race there. There was a couple of races there and Demo Derby at the same time.
Well, that goes hand in hand.
They tore up
But
some
everybody
stuff.
kind of knows that going in. But that's, you know, the racing was so tight that you knew there was going to be the big one. Of course, they got that out of the way right bright and early, right in the
Bright and
teens.
early.
Right in the teens. Let's just do it.
You know,
You know?
And you know, I saw that in the replays, and they're blaming Bubba Wallace for that. They're blaming, like it's his. Every time there's an accident that's around him, they're blaming him. He's not the fair-haired boy. It's like they want to.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah.
But you know what? It was a racing deal. I mean, he tried to get out of the way a little bit because
Yep.
the closing rate is apparently a lot worse than a lot better, or whatever you want to look at it. It's quicker than it used to be.
Oh, yeah.
So because of that, he got up on him and he tried to get out of the way. When he did, he got a little squirrely. He tried to correct, so he went down, came back up, and then he was out. It was all over with the tears.
Oh yeah.
So it's a racing deal. But you know what? You're so much on the edge there
Yep.
that you know you can't reach down and grab your drink.
No.
You know, God forbid you're trying to change your radio station to something, you're screwed.
You know,
It's just like you know, and you saw when that car went sideways and he flipped.
Yeah.
It was like throwing a piece of paper in the wind. It was just
I think I have a picture of that car in midair. It was like in slow motion, yet it wasn't. You know, there we go. Kyle Larson.
There it
upside
is.
that. He flipped over about 6 times. And you know what the amazing part is?
the car looked great before that though.
It did.
He sent me a picture of it before that. It looked awesome.
You know what's good, Jake? You always look at the good in things.
The way I look at it is it's job security for the fab shop.
Yeah,
So
really.
what are you talking?
Job
you
security,
Remember how you
right.
got to look at the positive, right?
Oh man.
But it's one of those racing things. I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
The best part about it is he walked away from it. He didn't
I
get
mean,
hurt.
Window net down. That shows you're okay to
Popped
save the
out.
people. Stepped out, walked to the ambulance and to the
And
care center.
ultimately,
Good to-
that is the best thing that could happen. The
without a
best
doubt.
thing that could happen. I mean, that's, you know, forget about everything else. You destroy the car. But
Yeah.
ultimately, that's the best thing that could happen. I mean,
Oh.
they're building some crush zones into these things. They're not building them as strong as they used to.
No.
You know, some crumple zones and stuff, which is helping all, you know, reduce the energy that these things are taking.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, just unbelievable. So,
Yeah.
but they got it. What are you going to do?
Yeah, and Talladega Speedway in Alabama, of course, it hosted its 100th Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series race.
50 years.
Right, so
Two every year,
joining, of course, what do we got? The Daytona International Speedway in Florida, Martinsville Speedway in Virginia, Darlington Speedway in South Carolina, Richmond in Virginia, Charlotte Motor Speedway in North Carolina, Atlanta Motor Speedway in Atlanta, Georgia, Bristol Motor Speedway in Tennessee, and of course, Alabama Super Speedway. So, Talladega Super Speedway. So when you look at that, 100 events, and you know they
It's
get
50 years of
it's
racing,
50 years
so
of
yeah.
racing at these racetracks, and if you recall the first race at Talladega, many of the drivers did not want to race. They felt it was too fast and unsafe. So Bill France put the late models out to fill the field, where Bobby Allison actually got in a late model and did very well at Talladega.
And that's when the top speed was, what, 89 miles an hour?
Yeah, it's not as fast as they were, and now they're,
They had those big steering wheels like they were driving a school bus.
oh yeah,
It's like-
yeah. You see
like
like
this.
Cale Yarbrough in the ABC Wild Other Sports
Yeah.
things, you know, with no gloves,
No gloves.
blisters on their
And
hands.
he's going like this, you know, going through the turns.
Oh man, but yeah.
Of course, if you're looking at me the other way, would be, you know, like this way, you know.
Yeah, depends on how you look.
He's correcting, you know.
Yeah, that was a good pickup. Good catch.
like it?
Yeah, was good. But yeah, it's.
Don't look at the monitors. Who's looking at the other one?
Who's looking at the monitor?
Not me.
No, we get these messages once in a while from our ears, and and the one that talks to me, I let hang down, and I didn't hear that. No, I'm only kidding. I just forgot to put it in during the break. Yes. Anyway, it's Talladega.
There was a couple of things that were notables on that. Was a local boy does good.
Yeah.
Ryan Priest.
Ryan Priest.
He finished third
Yeah.
for a super speedway. Not
Not
bad.
bad.
Not bad. I mean, there was some cars out, but still, super speedway. You know,
You know what? It's
not bad.
It's like any other sport. At the end, they look at where you are at the end. Doesn't matter where you're at the beginning,
Doesn't
the middle,
matter.
20 to go. It's the end. that
It's
matters.
not the first 1,000 laps. It's
Right.
the last one.
Exactly.
And that's really what matters. I mean, just like, set your clock, get up, watch the last couple of laps, and then you're in.
Mike Joy, one of the announcers, and a gentleman I know and I've talked to a few times, more than a few times, he even said it around 20 to go. The way the average big one happens between 15 and 6 to go.
Well, that's because everybody's trying to get to the front.
Yeah.
Because it's the go time.
And if you looked at it, down the backstretch, they were 5 wide at some points. And then 3 wide in the corners, you knew something was going to happen.
Well, they all knew, but the closing rate, the way it was, that they could all get to the front 5 laps.
Yeah.
So they knew that they pretty much had to go. By the time you had 20 to go, they had to go. They had to get to the front and make their vie for the front. I mean, what were they going to do? They didn't have a choice.
And there was only tenths of a second between the first 3 that were 3 in a row and the last 3 who were probably running 15, 16, 17, 18. Those it was tense. It was like a zoom, zoom, and like 3/4 of the field went by.
Well, yeah, there's no doubt that the cars are really evenly matched. I mean, they're just right there. They're all in a pack. All in a pack.
And they even showed a replay of Joey Logano at full speed. I guess it's a dash cam underneath, and he's driving full speed, 197, 198 miles an hour, and he got a little push from behind, and you see his whole body jerk. And it was like he looked in the mirror, he was cooling his hand off something, flipping with a switch, and he went like that, and he immediately grabbed it, and he got that, and he got that. At almost 200 miles
Well,
an hour.
because they bump and you're going to bump again.
Yeah.
Because the closing rate's so quick, you know you're going to get bumped.
You know.
It's going to happen.
It's
It's going to happen.
And he just held on, did a little this, and
That's great if you're going straight, but if you're in a little bit of a turn, it's all over.
forget it.
It's all over.
And if you're not getting hit square and they just hit you on the middle of an angle, goodbye, Charlie.
That's exactly it.
Goodbye.
And they were talking about it because the new Mustang nose has a little point. It's kind of hard to hit somebody straight on.
It is.
If you look at the other ones, it's like a tow truck.
Yeah.
It's a flat nose.
It's flat.
It's a flat nose. You get a push by them, you're getting a straight push.
Yeah.
But that Mustang, you don't know which way you're going.
You don't know.
They could tweak you one way or the other, and that was the whole Bubba Wallace thing.
Yes.
Because the point of the point of that nose, the nose, the point that's on that nose, all he's got to do, it's like trying to push something with a pencil.
Right.
It's very difficult. You know what I mean? To push with that nose, you're going to skew one way or the other a little bit, and that's all that had to happen.
That's it. And it's like the old Camaro bumpers we used to run in the 80s and the 90s.
With the point.
With the
it was
point.
nice and flat, but then it had the point in the
At
middle.
point. Yeah. And you hit somebody on an angle, you're only hitting it with half your bumper, but you're hitting it with a half that is going to send somebody.
Right.
And then you come around, and there's the flag man with the black hanky. You go.
Because what happens is it hits the point, and then it skews them enough till they hit the other side of the bumper.
Right.
And now you're hitting them straight, but you're twisting them on an angle.
Exactly.
It's just what happens.
Exactly. It's one of those things. But hey, it's Talladega. You bring your best car there. It's a nice payoff for these guys.
You bring your 2 best cars there, and you
Yeah,
go
your
home
2
with
best cars,
you go
and-
home with the 2 worst cars you got.
And you hope you get home with one. But and like Greg Elliott on Facebook Live is saying the Mustang is now flat and the Camaro was pointed. So we'll see. But years ago, it was the stock nose on these cars, on the Cup cars. So however it came out of the factory is how it had to be on the racetrack. And now what's happened, we're going to talk about this Gen 7 car coming out in 2021 is going to be the way it looks in the factory is the car you're going to see. So we'll talk about that.
Really?
Yeah, we're going to.
You think they're going to make that happen?
Oh, it's in the rulebook already.
Aerodynamics and
Yeah,
everything
it's
else?
in. It's in.
They're not going to go with the same nose.
They're going to go with the way, and this came from the manufacturers and the owners, and of course the new president of NASCAR, that They got to get back to the way the cars looked and look in the showroom. And it used to be win on Sunday, sell on Monday. And now the way these cars are built, other than the roof angles and trunk deck angles, if they didn't have numbers and they were painted in primer, they'd all look exactly the same. And a Mustang ain't a Mustang until they put those 3 lights on each side on the tail panel.
You don't know.
You don't know.
Well, yeah, it's the Camaro, I guess, that has the front bumper that's pointed, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's my mistake.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
so it's that's the difference.
Oh,
'Cause,
yeah,
the
it's definitely.
one is perfectly flat like a push truck,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
and the other one's got the point.
Well, it's like the COT car, the car of tomorrow. It was a box. It was a box with a wing on the back. And I don't know any factory-made car that looked like a box and a wing, except for that cube that's out there. And some of the Kias.
That you normally see in the middle of the road, flipped over somewhere, right?
Yeah. Oh, I shouldn't be laughing about that. It's so
But now
true.
the other thing was that spoiler. Did you see the size of that spoiler on that car?
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know what they were looking to get back
Was that like a 14 or a 16-inch spoiler?
Yeah, and it was about this high. It was about this high.
And they actually had Lexan in it so they can see through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how high that thing was.
Well, you
So soon they're going to go with the Super B spoiler? Yeah. Just put one big Lexan 4x8 sheet of plywood on the back?
well, like the dirt late models. Those things,
With
those
the
have
big-
some wild looking bodies.
With the big spoiler in the back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the side spoilers and I don't know. I can't wait to. I want to go back down to New Egypt and see some dirt racing.
Well, they're getting there. I mean, when you think about it, look at the pan that's on the bottom of the car now.
Right.
Right after that first wreck, they had
Yep.
the pan was sticking out of the front of the other car,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that's a big pan.
It is.
It's like a skid plate.
Yeah. And maybe that's, I don't know.
Is that the next thing, like they do with the Indy cars, they make it flat on the bottom?
I'll tell you what, and not that I know anything for a fact, please trust me, but this is what I see happening because they really want.
This is scuttlebutt, as they say.
Well, it's because there's too many people on pit road. Even though they pulled the officials off, they put them in trailers down the block, up the street, someplace else, in air conditioning with monitors.
I'm watching it on the camera.
But there's too many guys hopping over the wall. Not only in my opinion, a lot of people's opinion. And I know when I worked pit road, I at the end of the day, because I worked every series, and at the end of the day, I'd go in, take my fire suit off, my pit road uniform, whatever you want to call it, and there'd be wheel marks on my butt. So, especially in a modified race, and sometimes in a truck race, and you're going, you're trying to pay attention to what's going on, and you hear noises, and you hear guys coming at you, but you're just hoping that when they're pitting in the spot in front of where you're officiating, you hope they don't hit you. And I got rubbed a few times.
With a tire.
With a tire. And they're hot, and they're sticky, and
And they're black,
yeah.
and they're soft rubber.
And I had a white, pit road uniform.
How to wipe your butt.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, the other thing, too, is the fact that when you think about it, how many guys do they have over the wall on any given car?
5.
5 guys times 40 teams?
40 teams. That's
200 guys over
200
the wall.
guys.
And they're all coming and trying to
Yeah.
come in at the same time.
And they eliminated, I'm going to say 35 of the 40 officials, because there's 5 that still roam. I think they're called roamers, that are just there for whatever reason, to communicate with crew chiefs.
And they go over the wall still?
They don't go, you see them over, but more often than not, in what I could see, and maybe Randy Cadenhead, he's a former NASCAR official who worked the Top Series as well. He might be able to shed some light on this. I believe their job is, when the tower race command says, because they all have a number on your radio. They wouldn't say, Chuck Schultz, go to the crew chief of 48 car. They'd say,
23.
exactly. Yeah. And one time I was talking to 26, not realizing 26 was Mike Helton.
Were you yelling at them?
I didn't yell. I just said, 26, I got this, 26. And all of a sudden I got one of these. You know who 26 is? No, it's Mike Helton. Oh. Yeah. But, we talked after. It was good. He liked that I took charge.
Yeah.
He actually said that. But I guess I took too much charge because I'm not there anymore.
That worked out good. We like it,
worked
but
out
we don't like it now.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, we have results from Talladega. And We'll take a look at that right now, but it was like a wild race. And we had Chase Elliott that was the winner there. And I believe we have results. Yeah, there it is. Chase Elliott was the winner there, son of Awesome Bill from Dawsonville, Elliott. Alex Bowman, second. It was a nice finish for him. Ryan Priest, third. Long Island, you were talking about. Joey Logano. Daniel Hemrick was fifth. Kurt Busch, sixth. Ryan Newman scratched out a top 10 in seventh. Brendan Gaughan, eighth. Eric Almirola, ninth. And Kyle Busch rounding out the top 10.
And how about that kid? I mean, Justin Haley, 20 years old. He was up in the front there.
Up in the front. And
he wound up finishing 32, but he's 20 years old and he was up in the front. I was like, wow, where did this kid come from? You know?
Yeah, and Austin Dillon had the pole for that race.
And that was his first race, his first Cup race. They put him at Talladega.
Yeah. Well, see, this is what I don't understand.
See, this is what I don't understand. But
you gotta be approved.
I was explained to this. Somebody explained this to me. Bonnie explained this to me.
Oh, okay.
If you're approved, what does it matter if it's Talladega or if it's Bristol? I'm thinking.
You're supposed to work your way up.
But apparently he ran at bigger tracks. He
must have ran like ARCA or
something at the bigger track.
Yeah. Because Bubba Wallace, when he
ready
ran
for
his first Daytona 500, he never ran a super speedway.
Right.
So they put him in an ARCA car
Right.
during the week.
To see how he could do.
He wrecked. He wrecked early.
But he wrecked with class. So they let him.
And I like Bubba. He's a good guy. I shared some adult beverages with him down in North Carolina at Freddie Kraft's wedding, and we had a good time. Good guy. But yeah, that's what we were talking about when he couldn't even get an Xfinity ride because of lack of sponsorship. Now he's running a Cup car with Richard Petty Motorsports.
That's great.
And I think the only thing holding him back is
Crashing out on the 14th lap.
well, that doesn't help. But Richard Petty Motorsports and Richard Petty were never known to pay a lot of money or spend a lot of money, especially since they lost those big corporate sponsors that they glommed up in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s. And now Richard Petty Motorsports, they're one of my favorites. So, and not that I'm knocking Richard Petty's Motorsports, and no matter, they could put Goggles Paisano in their car and still go for them,
Right.
It's one of those things. But hey, it's one of those things. So that's how that happened. And the Xfinity was there as well. And how that went down is Tyler Reddick was the winner there. Gray Golding was second. Christopher Bell third. Chase Briscoe fourth. Austin Cindric fifth. John Hunter Nemechek was sixth. Justin Haley seventh. Josh Williams was eighth. Landon Castle ninth. And Chris Cockrum rounded out the top 10. And the Xfinity on the pole was Michael Annett. He had the pole there, and he finished 31st, knocked out from an accident.
And there's that Justin Haley again.
Justin Haley
Seventh.
again. And the Gander Outdoor Truck Series ran also this weekend. And they were at the Talladega Super Speedway. And I believe, what do we have here now?
I'm getting the
Oh, we
shake.
don't. Oh, I guess we don't. My mistake. My mistake. Sorry about that. My mistake.
No race?
I thought they were, but I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe not. They have a long break, though, in between races, so.
They got to get from track to track.
Yeah.
It's a hike.
With a truck. Anyway.
Well, the other thing I thought was very interesting was apparently, I guess Chevy really kicked some butt over there.
Yes.
And made these guys work together. And I don't understand why they weren't working together in the first place. But I mean, you had 6 cars in the top 10
Yeah.
that were Chevys.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, but it's not funny. You see that. Like, certain manufacturers dominate certain racetracks.
Well,
And do they get together and share information? Possibly. And a lot of people saying it was the Geico 500 for this race, and and it was a Geico car in it, and sure enough, it won the first leg, the first segment. Did NASCAR create that? I don't know. People have said they do, to help sponsors and whatnot. Just like when Toyota came into the fold and they needed a good finish by a Toyota to keep them, involved.
keep them locked in.
And they had a good finish. Imagine that.
Just by chance.
Yeah,
Well, on a different note, one of the other things I wanted to say too, I know that we always gripe a lot about NASCAR, what they're doing, what they're not doing, and things like that. But one of the things I wanted to say, which I was watching the race and I was looking at all the people and just everything involved, and really, when you think about it, we can knock them. And you know what? They're family to us. So it's like, even though we might knock a local track or we might knock NASCAR, we're family.
Right.
We're racers. That's what we do. You know what I mean? And you got to remember that it's constructive. And we're talking out of butt anyway because we have no ideas.
No.
So it's not like we're saying, this is what you do to fix it. We have no ideas.
Yeah. But we have ideas, but nobody.
Well, we have ideas, but we don't know if they'd work. Probably won't. Probably not. I mean, But Kudos, I mean, just when you think about the amount of work that they have to do to get all of this stuff to the track, to make all of this happen, even if they're not doing the right thing or it's not headed in the right direction, who even knows? But I mean, it was great. It looked like they had a great turnout, so that was awesome.
Awesome turnout.
But I mean, just the amount of stuff between the TV coverage and the undertaking of what's happening there at the track to get all of those parts and pieces going and moving, it's just like, this is a huge traveling, for lack of a better word, circus.
It is.
It's unbelievable the amount of work it takes to put this thing together and
without a doubt.
create a product that everybody's going to watch on TV and have the broadcasters and all the other background stuff and the souvenirs and just there's so many parts and pieces to this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just kudos to them being able to
without
pull
doubt.
this off every week.
I worked
I can't even imagine the amount of people you got to throw at something like this to make this as successful as it is right now.
Right.
Maybe they need to do things, but I don't know.
I know when I worked the control tower, whether I was the race director, a spotter, so to speak, or whatever the case was, looking at pit road speeds, there was a minute by minute schedule. I mean minute by minute. Invocation, national anthem, introductions, you name it, the flyover, minute by minute. And the only thing they couldn't control was green flags and caution flags and red flags. Although we tried, especially if there was a long stretch of green, you got to get the TV commercials in, so there was some manufactured cautions. But I was told, all we do is put on a show, and without the sponsors giving us commercials on TV, there is no show.
And I can't even imagine how many radio frequencies it has to be at a racetrack.
Oh,
Unbelievable. Just it's when you think about it, if you were going to build it and put it together yourself,
Right.
what would it really take?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
well, each team has at least two for the car driver.
Sure. I'm sure you can go through, but just NASCAR, in order to talk to this one, to that one, the guy who's handing out the hats, who's the guy who's getting the band together for the national anthem, who's singing. Wait, they're not singing. They're going to do it in Braille. I mean, it's
It's
like
so true.
it's so much stuff. I mean, really.
Yeah.
I mean, and there can't be one guy calling all of these shots. There's got to be.
It's a pyramid.
It's got to be 20 or 30 people, and there's one guy that's calling. All right, next. I can't even comprehend it. If I was to say, let's sit down, let's figure out what we need to. I couldn't even write down what needs to be done in order to make this happen.
No.
Unbelievable. Just kudos that they were able to pull something like that
And
off.
I'll tell you what, and since Jim France has taken over from Brian France, it's been a lot better.
You think so?
Oh, without a doubt. He's around, he's available, he talks to people, he listens to people. And the mistake, in my opinion, that Brian France made is he got rid of the racing people that built it and brought in bean counters.
The bean counters.
And he brought in his buddies and this one and a friend of a friend and somebody's ex-brother-in-law's sister. And
People that don't know, they're not in the fold, they're not racist.
well, some of the marketing people, absolutely, but you can't market a brand that you don't know anything about. Just my opinion. Anyway, we'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Gen 7 car. That should be interesting. The Gen 7 car when we come back.
Hi, I'm Remington.
I'm Emerson.
And I'm Sebastian.
We're Palais Royale, and you're watching Inravio TV.
There we go.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, Inravio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is Inravio.com.
Hey, this is Chris Less Jake, and if Inravio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
Village Music Shop of Mastic. 1-800-HEY-DUDE. Your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop, 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com.
Hi, this is Mike Jarecki from My Race News, and you're watching the Inravio TV network.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Hey, so you got some.
So I was apparently one of my Facebook friends. He's running in the American Canadian Touring Series. This is was created in 1986 by Tom Curley following the closing of the NASCAR North Tour. And they made the switch from late model sportsman type cars to super late models and pro stocks cars soon after its inception. So this is the first time that they went out with this car. And it's the Bobby Weber Jr. team. And I have to say kudos to their victory at Oxford. It's the first time they were out with this car, and they won.
Nice.
With Brian Kurzik
Very good.
driving the car. So yeah, I mean that's it's pretty good.
And that's a tough series. I watched them run it at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. That's a tough division.
Yeah, I mean if it's similar to what the Busch North was, then yeah, it's a tough division.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very competitive. And the Formula One, now, they were at the Baku City Circuit in Azerbaijan. I guess that's a country near China. Yeah, what she said. Azerbaijan. I didn't.
Sounds like something you get with a side of fries.
Yeah, it really. And you know, it just seems in that the Formula One series, it's the same guys in the top five. You have Valtteri Bottas was the winner, followed by Lewis Hamilton in second. Sebastian Vettel was third. Max Verstappen was fourth, and Charles Leclerc were rounding out the top five there. So that's how the Formula One works. I don't understand the logistics of that, but that's a whole nother thing. And now the Gen 7 car, people are saying it's going to be costly, and most of the teams are asking NASCAR and the tracks to foot the bill to build these cars, because the cost is going to be astronomical, because the cars they have and the cars they have in production and the cars they have in different stages of building will be junk with the Gen 7 car. Now, It's slated for a 2021 debut. The NASCAR chairman, Jim France, shared some insights out with me. I don't want people to think that, me and Uncle Jim are tight. We're not. But it's lower horsepower.
Over a bottle of wine, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, lower horsepower. The engine's going to be a little smaller. That we have greater visual showroom similarities to the production cars. But team owner Roger Penske says that the Gen 7 refers more to the future schedulings and more short tracks and road courses, shorter races, and shorter schedules. It's the beginning of the new NASCAR. And Toyota Vice President Eric Landis agrees. He says more action in the races and cars with better representation of OEM, original equipment manufacturing. Because what's happening is the cars don't look like cars anymore. And I say it every once in a while. Show me a two-door Camry with rear-wheel drive and a V8. There is
Yeah,
none.
but here's a story for you. Show me a Toyota car that looks like a Formula One.
Right.
I mean, I was thinking about what you said, and you're right. You're absolutely right. Show me a Camry. I get all of that. And the cars don't look like the car. You win on Sunday, sell on Monday.
Yep.
But what are they doing with the Formula Ones? I mean, they
Well,
slap
they're
the
rocket
Toyota.
ships.
Yeah, but they're basically the same car. They don't look like any kind of a street car
not
you
even
can buy.
close. No.
So they slap a Toyota motor in the thing and they run it, right?
Yep.
But it's still sponsored by Toyota.
Yeah.
Is that where NASCAR's going to go? They're trying to go back to what the car looks like. But how do they get everybody else involved? How does Hyundai come down with a car?
But the Gen 6 car, the Gen 5 car, the car tomorrow. It's all about. This is what's killing.
Hyundai comes down with a
Yeah.
with a four-cylinder Sonata.
Here's what's going to happen. Eventually,
They put 4,000 pounds of lead in the other cars.
yeah.
I mean, what do they do?
I mean, now think about it. Think about, what they've done with these cars, and Toyota wanted to get in, and it used to be you had to have certain chassis and certain body lines, and you're supposed to, as a manufacturer, the car that's on the racetrack has to match a car that sells in the showroom. Again, the Toyota Camry is nothing close to what's on there. Is the Mustang? I don't know any full-frame Mustang car built by Ford ever, because they're unibody. I don't understand. They really need to go back to when Ned Jarrett went to the car dealer, bought a car, wrote a check,
Drove it to the track.
drove it to the track, did what he had to do, the past tech, with the lights and the windows and stuff and the glass. And he had to win or finish second to cover the check.
Then he rode to the dealer.
Which he wrote to the dealer, and he did. Lee Petty went to his local Oldsmobile dealer, and I'll take that one, put numbers on it, one race.
In the early days, that was the way you did it. But
Yeah. I mean, am I getting old?
I mean, look at the modified division.
Oh,
I mean, is that really a modified car at all?
no.
No.
It's
I mean, it's not where you used to take a car from the dealer and modify it.
right. Which
I mean,
was the
that
original
That was the plan.
series in NASCAR, was the NASCAR Modifieds in 1948. That was the top series. No more. Now they're cookie cutter. You used to be able to tell a car in primer who was driving. Oh, that's Charlie Gazambach. That's Jerry Cook. That's Richie Evans. That's Renee Charland.
Whether they had a Gremlin or a Pinto, you mean?
Yeah. Or who had the high exhaust?
The high roof.
Who had the
The
big motors?
AMC, what was the AMC car?
Gremlin.
The Gremlin.
The Gremlin.
With the high roof like
The
this.
high roof. That's what they were called modifieds, because you took a stock car
And modified it.
Now they're cookie cutters.
Yeah, but see, wasn't the stock car originally called the stock car because
Yeah.
it was a stock car?
Stock. It was stock. I remember I was on a project with NASCAR, and they wanted me to measure all the roofs of the modifieds, and right next to the measurements, the car number and the manufacturer, because the roof had to be, if you had Chevy on your roof as your car, you have a Chevy,
Right.
there was a certain size it had to be. So
Height-wise.
Yeah, height, not height, but length, width, rake. Because I had to
Okay.
measure all that stuff.
High
So
with rake, right.
here's like 3 cars in a row, side by side. This one said Ford, this one said Chevy, and this one said something else. I'm like, and I'm looking at the measure, they were exactly the same. You know, they go to Troy, I have a car built. Let's call this one, you know.
Put a different motor in it, and that's a Dodge, that's a Chevy, that's a
Yeah.
Ford. Yeah.
You know, and there were guys that, Todd Zakedy's car, when he was running for Michael Smerglio, it said Ford. But I looked one day and then he had a Chevy motor. Yeah, we use the Chevy motor here at this track. I'm like, oh, okay. There's nothing in the rules that says you can't.
But doesn't it have to say Chevy on it then? No. There's nothing in the rules that
Not
says.
in the rules. Not in the rules. And you know, you can play with rules sometimes.
Interesting.
Actually, you can play with rules all the time. You know, I remember the late Ted Christopher. You had to have, what was it?
A motor.
No, Goodyear. Not Goodyear, my goodness. Yeah.
Hoosier.
The gas, the fuel. Oh, man. Sunoco.
Sunoco.
You had to have a Sunoco sticker on your car
Oh, the Sunoco sticker.
in order to race. Ted Christopher says, I am not doing that. I get my fuel for free from BP. He says, well, then, you know, you're not eligible for any of the money. So through the channels, our series director called his boss, who called his boss, who called his boss, who ended up talking to Mike Hilton, who gave the answer very brown. He has to have the Sunoco sticker on the car.
Didn't say where.
Exactly. So I go around doing my portion of my job, and the sticker girl has to follow up with Teddy. She goes, I don't see the Sunoco sticker. You have to have it. He goes, I do. And he goes, well, I don't see it. Jack the car up, fellas. It was on the drive shaft. They told him it had to be on the car. Never said where. Do you know, like a couple of weeks later, a rule addendum came out where
With a
the stickers-
diagram to show you where the
Yep.
stickers need to be. You got to have the gas stickers in a certain spot on the car.
Oh, yeah. Otherwise, you're not eligible for the pay. You know, so, and like the pole award, you don't have the sticker, you don't get it. Goes to the next guy or gal.
Yeah.
You know, but it was.
I remember racing back in the day when I called up and asked to buy some tickets because I wanted to bring some sponsors down. And I mentioned what sponsors I had. They're like, wait a minute, what do you mean? They had to be approved by the track because apparently they were caught in these sponsors and couldn't get them.
Right.
But I did.
Yeah.
They didn't like that.
Nah, I went
That was
through
not a good thing.
I went through that with Big Brothers, Big Sisters in Long Island.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Anyway.
So it's hard enough to find a sponsor. Then you find a sponsor that's got to be approved
Yeah.
because they don't like it or
And
for
then they-
one reason or another.
Then they try to take the sponsors away. That doesn't happen too much with the local racetrack ownership. They're not like that.
Yeah.
They're different. You know what? They're
That's interesting.
racers. You know, Eddie Partridge was a racer. Eddie Partridge was on Charlie Jazombek's crew. He was tight with the family. And he raced under an assumed name way back when. And I won't say it unless he gives me the permission. But yeah, he raced, you know, he's a racer. And they do things right. Anyway, the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour headed to Stafford Motor Speedway in Stafford Springs, Connecticut for the annual Spring Sizzler. And of course, the Spring Sizzler, with spring comes rain, and with
Rain comes to lays.
and you know, and the only thing that was sizzling was the pavement when the raindrops were hitting it. So that got rescheduled. The ground pounders will be at the Stafford Motor Speedway next weekend. And anybody who had plans on going to Dover will have to make a choice. Not too many drivers are gonna, but I'm sure some people, they look at the schedule and on the modifieds, because they go, oh, hey, we have an off week, let's go to Dover. I guess they're not going. I'll be going as a guest of Visconti Motorsports, so I want to thank them. And we'll get to talk to some teams along the way, take some pictures, come back and talk about it. So Dover, I like that place. I like that place. And you can't tell on TV, but, and I don't remember, one of the straightaways goes downhill and one goes uphill. And you don't notice it on TV until you're actually on the infield. A lot of people don't know that. Not like a Darlington, or it's shaped like an egg, but it's a perfectly round oval. Nice. It's pretty. It's a nice place.
Concrete.
Yeah. Nah, it's nice.
Good sleep in there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I fell asleep in the stands.
Oh, good.
I pretty much fell asleep at every track.
See what I like about that is you can go in the casino, which is in the backstretch. You know, watch its first 20 laps. All right, if the parade started, go. And you can see out the window, you can see the racetrack. So you're like, and you hear the ding, 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 ding. You look, okay, then you watch the race a little more. It's really good. I love that place.
From the casino. Yeah.
Yeah, so I want to thank JV, as he's called by his peers. And actually it was through his wife, Marie, because she really owns the team. So they hooked me up with credentials. So, and that was nice. I just got to get there and get home.
Yeah.
You could drive there, though, from Long Island. You know, you can.
Yeah, we did that a couple times.
Yeah. We were younger then. I don't know.
Not that bad.
No?
Yeah.
It's like going to the Water Gap, just a little
Yeah,
further.
that's all.
For those who don't know.
It's
the
like going to
Delaware Water Gap.
Pocono.
One more, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I like going to Pocono. I'm not going to get there this year. Anyway, so I think we hit all our bullet points today.
I think we hit all the bases.
Yeah, it's all good. Opening night here on Long Island. It's this upcoming Saturday night, although it'll be with heavy hearts for some. But opening night at the Riverhead Raceway.
Let's hope the weather's good and everybody gets it in.
Yeah.
There's a lot of getting in to get.
You know, and Stafford Motor Speedway at the getting their event, their opening night event in with the Sizzler for the modifieds, and always a good event to go to.
Everybody's got cabin fever, so you got to be careful out there.
Well, that's what happens. I know the Libars, the Long Island Vintage Auto Racing, who no longer race here on Long Island, was scheduled to race at the Stafford Motor Speedway up in Connecticut, and the Kenny Southern, who was a former figure eight driver, and his family raced figure eights in the 60s and the 70s. He took his modified up there with the Libars, and he was a little in awe of the speed that his modified won on a half-mile racetrack. He was used to stepping on the pedal for 3 seconds, letting off for 3 seconds. He's not doing that there. He's more on the gas pedal for like
10 seconds.
yeah. And
Yeah, I was kind of amazed when I ran Thompson for the first time. I was like, this is a super speedway for me.
yeah.
I was on the gas for quite some time. I was looking at the gauges, and there was all kinds of things happening there.
The first time I ran on a big track, I believe it was a third. I drove a race kind of third, and I was up at Lee, and I remember coming off the corner. I went, wow, I could see the grandstands. So it was different. It was
Yeah.
different. I was used to driving a figure eight car. Our straightaways were so short. You're hardly in a straightaway because you come off the corner and you're doing like this kind of S thing, going to the other corner and then doing an S thing again. I missed that stuff. That was fun. Should have tried it. Would have been good. Nah.
Nah, not my cup of tea. Even the big speedways, I was on Pocono, and it was like, I guess if you're doing 200 miles an hour, it's a little different.
Yeah.
But if you're doing 150, 160 miles an hour, it's like, it still takes you forever to get to the turn. It's like,
And the high bank, the high bank just gets closer and bigger and closer and bigger. It's like you're never going to get there.
slowly, yes.
Yeah. And then you're there.
Then you're finally there, yeah.
Then
And it turns you by itself. It's not like you're really, it's not a lot of turning to do there.
Yeah.
Kind of just makes you want to go, and you go that way.
Yeah.
And then you see the pictures after, you're like, oh, that's me on the track. Where? See that little dot right there?
Right there.
And when you're sitting in the grandstands, you really can't tell how big these tracks are.
No.
At Pocono, I could have raced my house down the front straightaway and passed somebody in the middle if they had houses on both sides of me. That's how big that, unbelievable, how wide. And when you see it on TV with the cars, you're like, oh, look, they're 5 wide. That's like nothing. It really is nothing. It's so wide. It's unbelievable how big that front straightaway is.
I'm being told we're on overtime.
Are we?
So, want to thank everybody for taking time out of your busy schedules to sit and talk racing with us, to listen to us rant and rave about racing. It's all good. And for your comments, we appreciate that. And we got some good stuff going on. It's all good.
Here we go into a new race season.
New race season. For those who are racing open tonight, this Saturday night, hold on to your hats.
Be
You
careful.
got cabin fever. Be careful. Be safe. We want to see you here on Monday.
The
Good night,
most
everybody.
important thing you can do is bring yourself and the car home.
Exactly.
It's the most important thing you can do.
You got it. We'll see you all next week, Monday. Good night, everybody.
Good night.